is the 5 habits of top performers.
Hey, this is Blake Sloan. I've been selling real estate over 14 years. Our team of highly trained professionals, along with our unmatched marketing, has sold thousands of homes here in the Myrtle Beach area, and this is how we do it.
Make sure we say these things in that scenario. Here's what you say. Hey, you know you want to do it. We wouldn't be here in the first place talking about it. So back to the example, they say, well, it doesn't mean, hey, look, you know you want to do it. We wouldn't be here looking at it in the first place. Right? On the telephone, you know you want to do it. We wouldn't be on the telephone talking about it in the first place, right? You need remarkable boldness in the closing. And what does closing mean? Closing means bringing something to an end. And my job there is to what? To push and be bold where they need it overall in that scenario, right? And here, how many of you guys had that moment where you let them go? Right? And most of the time it ends up kicking us. Things cool off, life happens, everything else goes on. It's super important for us to remember we miss that, right? And so if you believe it's their best interest, you believe it's the right thing for them to do, right, to work with you or to buy it, you have to have the guts to say it. This comes down to agent, right? If I'm the listing agent, I have to have the guts to stand up to them and say, look, that agent offering you 4% or 5% is going to cost you $30,000, $40,000 because of their inexperience and their inability to negotiate. I don't want to have to call you back 2 months from now and show you your house sold for $40,000 less than it could have because you didn't have the right marketing. Right? Have that conversation there when it's the time of the energy, right? Where you got to be bold in that scenario overall, right? You have to have the guts to say it. And here's the deal. Here's a good thing I'll share it in a second. But that's very, very important to do there. The key thing what you guys understand is that the role of the salesperson is to make a decision, which means to kill something off. Get to that part over here. Here's the 3 things I want you to write down that's super cool. All right. Number 1, sounds like. So it sounds like. It's the whole reason I'm teaching this today. It sounds like ... It seems like. It feels like. Very, very valuable, right? So, hey, seems like you want to do this. It sounds like this house is perfect for you, and it feels like you're ready to get started. Am I right in thinking that? Very valuable there, right? You can rotate the top 2 however you want to. I like the way it sounds that way. So, or whoever, it seems like you want to do this. It sounds like this house is perfect for you, and it feels like you're ready to get started. Am I right in thinking that? If so, let's go ahead and get this written up, and let's get you moving. What is that doing there? It's getting them into action, and it's assuming the close. How many times do we need that? We need that over and over and over. Many people are just scared of commitment. Right? They're scared of commitment, what they do and how they operate. So, these 3 things. Sounds like, seems like, feels like. Sounds to me like you like this. It seems like this house is perfect for you, and you guys love it, and it feels like you're ready to take action on this, right? Am I right in thinking that? Great. Let's get this thing written up and get you moving. Does that make sense? Very important. They tell you, well, I need to think about it. Time's not right. What you can say is, I think we create our own timing. So write her down, all right? We create our own timing. And what I found. On a scale of 1 to 10, how serious are you about this? Do you think we would have misled you here today? Not at all, right? So I don't think you need to pray about it. You already did, because we both know you probably prayed about this way before I got here today. So that's what? Boldness that has to happen when you get this. But most people get scared and fold. That happens overall in that scenario, right? Overall, right? So it's just, if you got, and here's the deal. How many of you guys, if you just got this one thing down, you would close a lot more business, right? This is huge. This could be the only thing we talk about today. This is why I'm teaching it. I had a feeling that when we get to this point, we mentioned, they tell you in the house, they need to think about it. They tell the agent, they need to think about it. We leave the listing appointment all the time without getting it signed. We tell ourselves we signed them, but we didn't actually sign them. Or we got one of the people to sign, everybody signed it. We could be bold in the moment that we have to be bold and get the thing signed. Because if not, you go home, what happens? Remorse kicks in, right? Buyer seller remorse. They get fearful about it. They start doubting you. And all you just told them, guess what happens? Goes out the window. Do you believe you're the best option? Do you believe we're the best option? And do you believe in the product you're selling, which is what? Myrtle Beach, whatever it is. But I think what happens is this pivotal moment right here when they tell you need to think about it, or they're not sure, what do you need to say? Hey, let me go fight for this for you. Put me to work, let me loose, let me go fight for this and get this house for you. You know you like it. It matches exactly what you want, and it fits your family perfectly. Don't let fear get in the way of this. And they need that, right? At that very moment when it's pivotal, you can feel it where? In your gut. You're scared to say it, but you know you should say it. And so when you get that gut feeling, I want you to do what? Make a decision to trust it and say it. Period. Okay? That's the key part from that scenario. That's the most important part we talk about today. I'm going to get to the other two though. Number 2, they have this thing called intrinsic motivation. What do you think that means? What's that?
Comes from within, it's not external.
It comes from within, it's not external, right? No one feels motivated all the time. Well, Andy, what did you say that was the word? How'd you word it? Do it no matter what, right? So that's the key part there to understand of what? Intrinsic motivation, which makes a big difference. And sometimes we got to dig and find out what that means. One of the cool stories he talks about was Tom Brady. And I didn't know this story. Anybody remember the Tom Brady Super Bowl when they played Atlanta Falcons? What was the story at halftime, remember? Down what? What was it? Who had it? 28-3. What happened second quarter? Second half? Came back. Do anybody know why the story behind it? That didn't hear the podcast? They asked him after the game why and how he was able to pull it off. You know what he said? Tom said, I flew my mom, give me chills. I flew my mom here today to this game to watch him play. My mom was just diagnosed with cancer. The last thing I was letting my mom do was fly in and watch me lose the Super Bowl. Isn't that powerful? I didn't know his mom even had cancer. I Googled it. Sure enough, 2016, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. Crazy, right? That's true what? Intrinsic motivation, which makes you do things and get outside your comfort zone and get above fear. And so you guys need to find that because goal. That letter you write to your children that you don't want to let them down in 11 months from now, that's your intrinsic goal. And so it's important for me to have that because goal. I do this because, in some cases, because I want to have a nice car. Because I want to have a nice house. Right? I want to feel like I can have my bills paid and not struggle every single month. Whatever it is, you got to make a decision on what that is overall. Right? But it's got to be bigger many times than just making money. Right? You want to have the desire to fill the internal bank account and be the best at what you do. Right? That's the key part I want you guys to remember over there with that, which is super powerful. I do this because of this. I do this because of this. And I want you to write down, what are your because goals? All right? I don't want my kids to have to struggle if something happens to me and go through what I went through. Ever. That's still every day I think about that. I never feel safe, even today, based on what I went through. Right? And so it's important for me to understand that that's my gift if I use it right. And so that's the key part. It talks about, too, is that it can't be just cash and checks, big checks and driving Cadillacs, right? That happens from being great. And your because goal is what makes you great. And then the byproduct of that is doing what? Cash and big checks and driving Cadillacs, right? Kind of what they talk about in that scenario, which is very important. Number 3, third part of this. I've talked about this before. I thought it's pretty cool. Is grit and resilience. Grit and resilience. What does that mean, you think? And there's a book about it called Grit, which is super cool. I didn't realize there was a book about it. And it talks about in there that it's not the smartest people that win. It's what? The toughest people that win. It's not the smartest people that win in business or life. It's the toughest people that win. Meaning they do what? They get back up over and over and over and over and over, regardless how they feel. And so you have to be able to do something. If you do something for 10 years, guess what? You're pretty good at it. You just got to stick to it long enough to get through, which is super important. And he talks about that. Grit's a combination of passion and perseverance. Grit means I just keep coming. I don't even watch the news. I don't worry about the market. I just keep coming. It's a game of probability. And it talks about that overall, and it's so true in 2008, right? The 2008 recession, 2020 recession, and the recession now. Guess what happens? 1% people still keep winning. Why? They don't stop. They just keep coming. Just like us, we built this company in 2008. Literally started October 2008. As everybody in the world was crying and whining, guess what we did? Built it. Why is that? Because I just had the grit and resilience. I didn't know any better. I was going to win regardless. And it allowed us to do what? Grow and capture market share and really have a lot of growth in that time period when most people are giving up. Which is super important for us to remember there in that scenario. All recessions, the 1% just keep going, they keep growing overall in that scenario, right? And I wrote down this, if I give my son one thing, it would be this. Which is what? Which is the grit, perseverance. No matter what happens, you just keep going. What most people do is they get hit in the face and they end up bouncing around from job to job to job, opportunity, 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 the new shiny object, the shortcut, and they never actually stick with anything good enough to actually get results. Even in real estate, you got a long sales cycle with clients that take a long time to convert. You can't hop from place to place to place and expect to have any long-term success. Does that make sense? Very, very, very valuable in that scenario. And that in our world too, what does that grit and resilience mean? Where does that come in place, you think, the most? I'll give you a hint. Leads. Right? The example I taught you guys 2 weeks ago, right? Where in our world, that means 7 to 15 touches per lead. Prospecting 2 hours a day, right? Do the things you don't want to, engage people after the sale. That's pure grit. Average agent, and he quotes this in the podcast, in insurance and real estate, makes 1.8 contacts per lead. We know from the data I shared with you guys a few weeks ago, right? It starts really at what? 8 to 12, right? And so really you want to get 7 to 15 every single time to make sure you can get that conversion overall. It's super important, but very, very important for us to stick to that overall, right? Here's the deal. I know that's a key part there as well. Number 5. Oh, so just kidding. Number 4, just kidding. Connection and community. Number 4, connection and community. And I want you to remember, this is an attribute which is kind of like what? A skill set, right? This is a skill set of someone who's a top 1% producer, right? In any business of sales, real estate, insurance, solar, whatever it is. Connection and community. What do you think that means? Top 1% people have incredible connection skills, meaning, right, they enroll people a lot. They want to include them in what? In what they have and what they offer, and AK your community here, and what we offer at SRG. Right? They feel like what? They're a part of your family, a part of you. They feel like you obviously care about them. They're not just a number. They're not just a lead. They're not just a deal, a commission check. They need to feel that they're a part of you and your community and what you do in that scenario. Right? They connect at a deep level. Right? They wake up and think, who can I help today? Who can I follow up with and connect with? And that includes what? Past clients, both husband and wife, not just one of the people. Because I know that husband knows a bunch of people in his sphere, wife knows a bunch of people in her sphere. I want to have connection to both. You guys with me on this? And I don't know which one's going to be the true driver in referrals. So my job there is to make sure I connect with both overall with that, which is very valuable. Right? Most people, and this kind of hit me in the gut a little bit, is that most people think, AK buyers or sellers, do they care about me after the sale? And it's true. And I've had this feedback over and over and over. People come back to us and they say, well, so-and-so never even called me again. So-and-so didn't care about me. We feel like you guys didn't care about us. And I have had that feedback over the years from people. And so I want you to think, have you ever bought something big and wondered if people care about you? Right? Give the example, like the only thing that guy who sold a Maybach could have done better was call back that night and say, hey, Coach Burt, how was that drive home? You like it? It make you happy? Right? You feel really good about it? And all of a sudden, what do? You say, look, save my cell phone, my personal cell phone, and your cell phone, anytime you need to sell, buy, anything you need, I want you to call me first. Does that sound good? Right? Because they want to feel connected, a part of your what? Community, which is why we have a lifetime connection program, right? Which is why we have that unfair advantage part we go over in the presentation on the buy side. Then I want to be your what? Real estate resource for life. Very important for me to program that in that piece there. Right? And so, and here's one thing to say too that's super simple. If you get stuck on what to say, just call and say, hey, I really enjoy working with you. I was thinking about you. Who can I connect you with? Do you need anything? Plumbers, electricians, painters, anything I can do? And most of the time they may say what? No, we're good. But all you did is add reciprocity to the pot. And hey, no problem. If you ever need anything, you let me know. I want you to save me in your phone. Hey, by the way, am I saving your phone? Cool. I want you to just save me as sold, save me as whatever you want to do. I want you to call them anytime you need things. That sound good? Great. And what do you say after that?
I'm never too busy for any.
Oh, by the way, right? I'm never too busy for any referrals. My business is built on referrals. Anybody you come across right thinking about real estate that smells like real estate, that may look to buy or sell something, can you do me a favor? Send them to me? Yes. And what are they going to do? Send them to you, right? It's so simple. People skip over and don't do it, which is very, very sad to think about. All right. Number 5. This is cool. I got a cool story with this one. Number 5. Overall here. The ability to lock in and see something to conclusion. The ability to lock in see through to conclusion. The ability to lock in and see something through to conclusion. What does that mean, you think? This is so true. Like, if you look at the best people that close the best, they have this craziness about them. They just do what? Almost an OCD to do what? Follow through to get to what?
Resolution.
The finish line, right? Or resolution, that scenario, whatever it is in that scenario, right? This specifically is in regards to leads. We talk about the 7 to 15 touches we want to make sure we hit, right? Follow-up is locking in and seeing through. If I look at, we get a report every morning on sell leads. I think we got 5 or 6 sell leads today that closed in our database that listed, and they weren't with us. What do you think the number one reason they don't list with us is? Follow through. We call them once or twice. Or we call them, I looked at one yesterday, we call them 9 times, sent 1 text and 1 voicemail. So the other 8 times they didn't even know we called. Right? It's simple that we have to do follow through. Now that scenario, we have a lot of those, but you guys are doing the same exact thing on the buy side. The only difference is I have a tool to track it on the seller side. Right? Same thing with the agent side. If we meet with them, have an appointment, most of the time the weakness is after the appointment, they're not ready yet, they need to think about it, and then what happens? They don't hear from us maybe once every month or once every 2 weeks, and then they fall off into the abyss. Right? We have to have this ability to lock in and see something through, which is important. And here's the thing. If I have a lead, it's valuable, right? I want you to think about this. How much more valuable is a lead this year than it was last year? Right? How much more valuable is a lead this year versus 2 years ago? 2 years ago, you didn't have to call anybody back. They would just tackle you to buy something, right? Now you have to be able to follow up religiously to create connection and community for them to want to work with you. You guys with me on this? And a great example of this that he talks about in the podcast, which is valuable. This guy, he bought a house in Nashville for $9.5 million. And he invited all the agents over that were in the area for a party at the house. And guess what happened? Somebody that didn't listen, the 2 people listened to the podcast.
But it's on the agent show.
The agent that sold him the previous house got mad at him for not using her. And she confronted him at the party. You know what she said? Mike, can't believe you didn't use me as your agent. I'm really kind of upset about that. And guess what he said? He said, I haven't heard from you in 13 years. Don't get mad at me, honey. Get mad at yourself. Whew, I mean, that's strong right there, right? And that's what? What's 3% of almost 10 million? 300,000? Is that right? Yeah, $300,000. So potentially $300,000 commission from not following up with somebody. And he said, I would have used you, but you never even followed me after the sale. And he said, quote in there, you did a great job in your first transaction with me, but you never followed me after the sale. Coach gave an example. He bought his first condo for $119,000 from an agent in Tennessee, in Nashville. Guess how many times the agents called him since the transaction? 0. Guess how much real estate he's bought since then? Over $25 million. So, and he said he would have used him again if you would have just called him. And he said if he would have shown up to one of his basketball games years ago, there's no telling what he had done for him. And so the question is, everyone has a desire for you to follow up. You're just too scared to follow up with them. Based on what? Limiting beliefs you have in your head that's holding you back. Most of which is not true.